All right, now listen to this thing. When I put it in reverse, it sounds like an ethereal choir from some European cathedral or something. You ready? Listen. That's almost downright embarrassing. I mean, let's be honest. Just because this thing's a hybrid, it still has a gas engine. Why does Honda or any of these companies feel the need to put a sound generator in there? I mean, a lot of gas-powered cars by themselves, even when they're at idle and the gas engine's running, they're super quiet, but this thing is super loud. Listen to this. If you're not really ready to jump over to EV, the question I would say is why? If you're thinking that you want to have something that you can daily drive and you have the ability to have a level 2 charger at your home, any of the EVs that are on the market, they're going to be fine for you. Even ones that have 200 miles of EV range. Perhaps look at buying a used EV, or maybe one of the newer cars that don't have quite the range, but you're not really going to have any problems. Now, when you start going on road trips, that's where these hybrids and plug-in hybrids start to give people the peace of mind, because as soon as you run out of EV range, you've got your gas engine to actually pick you up and take you the rest of the way. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Dave, where today I want to explore the topic of hybrid vehicles versus plug-in hybrid vehicles. And a lot of people have been saying to me, Dave, I don't really feel like I'm ready yet for an EV, and maybe I want to tiptoe or sort of wade a little bit into the water. And I'm thinking maybe I'll go with a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid vehicle. And, on paper, they make a lot of sense. So I actually just took delivery of a rental for the weekend of this Honda Accord. Now, this is just a hybrid vehicle, but I've spent all day yesterday. I drove it up to see friends in Vermont. I've been spending a lot of time with it just to kind of get to know the vehicle and figure something out. Is this really even a vehicle that one would want to own? Why wouldn't you just get the gas car as opposed to going for one that's actually a hybrid? And the one thing about this car is that back and forth, up and down, from Connecticut all the way to Vermont and back, I got 48 miles to the gallon in this, what I would call a mid-size, 4-door Honda Accord sedan. That's pretty amazing. And what's even more amazing is this car has EPA rated range of over 600 miles. And by the way, there's gas stations everywhere. So I was like, wait, this may make a lot of sense. And on top of that, this thing is only about $3 grand more, maybe a little less than its gas counterpart. So I started to really think about it. And then when I realized that Toyota, with their Camry, starting in 2025, they're not even going to sell a gas equivalent of that vehicle. You're going to only be able to get a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid of that. So there's something here, folks. So let's get into it and explore hybrids and plug-in hybrids today. All right, so what we have here is a 2024, this is a Honda Accord hybrid. It's got 12,000 miles on it, and it's a good car. I don't particularly love the styling of this car. It kind of I never really loved the Audi A7, and it sort of has that, I don't know, it sort of has that little hatchback look to it, but yet it's only a trunk in the rear. Now this is the sport version. It's the hybrid sport Accord. And of course you got these really sporty wheels here, which show the disc brakes in the rear and the disc brakes in the front, which look pretty slick. And what do we got for tires here? Let's see if I can read it. Oh man, it's dark out here. I can't really hear it, but they look like relatively low profile tires, maybe like 40s or 45s. Yeah, so they're 235, 40, 19-inch wheels. Not particularly quiet on the road. I found I had quite a bit of tire noise. Now, I don't know if the base, the non-sport model comes with a little bit quieter ride, but you also get this really nice rear spoiler, which definitely makes this the sport. And of course you get the sport designation. But like I was mentioning, you know, the fact that it kind of looks like a hatchback, but it's not, is a little bit disappointing. Now, a lot of times with hybrids or what have you, you'll lose a lot of trunk space, but I don't really see, you're not really losing much trunk space back here when it comes to pretty darn big trunk. I would say it's deep, and it's definitely bigger than what's in my Model 3. Rear leg room is quite good in this car. You can see where I have my seat back there, and there's definitely plenty of room for someone to get behind me. So, you know, this is not a small car. And to be able to get 48 miles to the gallon up and back to Vermont yesterday, that's, now that I'm starting to get interested in this thing, what is going on? Because that's really good mileage. I remember years ago, I was playing the Toyota Prius game for a little while, and it was so much fun to try and not get that car to go out of electric only mode and try to drive it as much as I could. And I would get 50 miles to the gallon out of that thing. And that was great. Now, of course, for those pure EV folks that are out there, you definitely burn gas with a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid. And in this case, what's interesting is this has a very small battery pack in it. It does regen, and the way that it works, it's very seamless in terms of its switching from gas to electric. But basically with a hybrid car, what happens is you'll generate power from the gas engine, or you'll generate power from the electric motor where it takes the energy from the battery, or you could also generate, or you could actually get power from both the gas engine and the battery at the same time. And the computer system is very seamless in terms of asking for energy from either the battery or the engine. When it's in EV only mode, this car is very quiet. You do hear the gas engine kick on. It's seamless. It's not like it's you know, rough or anything like that, but it's definitely not anywhere near as quiet as an EV would be, because you've got a gas engine under the hood. Let's pop the hood and take a peek at what we got under there. There's no frunk in this car, I can guarantee you that. Yeah, so as you take a look under the hood here, I believe this is a 1.8 liter turbo engine that comes standard in the gas car. And then of course you've got your 12 volt battery here, and there's a whole lot going on in here. The word for these hybrids and or plug-in hybrids is complexity. Now the size of the battery pack in the actual hybrid Accord is only about 1.8 kilowatt hours. So it's not meant to store energy and then drive the car on pure EV for long periods of time. Compare that to the Honda Clarity, which was actually sunsetted back in 2021. That had somewhere around an 18 kilowatt hour battery, and that gave that car 42 miles of EV only range. So, you know, the point of this hybrid is the way with which the computer manages taking energy from the battery and providing energy towards, you know, to the wheels, or putting energy back into the battery just to kind of keep it going and managing that. And again, the statistics on this are, from a gas mileage standpoint, are quite impressive. The base model, this happens to be the Sport of this car, this Honda Accord, only starts around $37,000. And I think that's a pretty good value for the money. Now, as far as eligibility for tax credits here in the United States, a battery pack has to be at least 7 kilowatt hours in order to qualify for getting some sort of federal tax credit. I can tell you that my daughter Katie's Jeep Wrangler 4xe, it got the full $7,500 federal tax credit, because the battery pack in that car is, or in that Jeep, is about, I think just about 17.7 kilowatt hours. So even though on 17 kilowatt hour battery pack, it's only going to go a maximum range of EV, pure only EV, of around 21 miles, comparing that to, for example, the Toyota Camry plug-in hybrid, which has a similar sized battery pack. Actually, the Toyota Camry's got only a 13.8 kilowatt hour battery pack, similar in size to the Prius Prime, which is a plug-in hybrid as well. But the thing about that Toyota Camry plug-in hybrid that's quite magical is its efficiency, because you're going to get around 42 miles of EV-only range in the Toyota Camry with a 13.8 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and the Prius Prime, which has the same size battery pack, only gets around 39 miles of EV-only range, and it's a much smaller car. So Toyota's doing something right with that plug-in hybrid. But back to just a pure hybrid car, no incentive in terms of federal tax credit. It doesn't feel like you're getting all that much more power with the car, but again, I think it comes down to the range and the way that it'll tweak out or eke out so much more mileage. Now, a standard Accord will get between, let's call it 30 and 33 miles to the gallon, depending on how you drive it. And like I said, on the highway, I got 48 miles to the gallon with this thing going up back and forth to Vermont. So there is something magical going on here between the gas engine and the battery and the electric motor that's in this car. So I'm kind of liking that. But keep in mind, if there's a, let's call it a $3,000 price differential from the gas engine variant versus the hybrid, you're going to have to do the math in terms of how much you drive to see if it's actually worth, you know, that extra, let's call it 15 miles to the gallon. Then you're going to really have to do the math to see if it's worth you laying out $3,000 more for the hybrid variant. Now, with Toyota next year, you're not even going to have a choice. It's just going to be a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid. So that's something to consider. In terms of how this car drives, I can tell you that it's pretty low for me getting in and out of this. It does have, this particular car, maybe because it's the Sport, it's got this nice sunroof here that opens. It's very small. The materials that they use in this car are quite nice. I mean, it's a Honda, it's not anything crazy, but one thing I really love are these air vents. Just the way with which you can control the air vents. I think that's an excellent implementation there. You have stalks, none of this, you know, stockless stuff like you find in Teslas are going on. But here, let me jump in the car and show you a little around this thing. It is low getting in and out of this vehicle. Cup holders here are pretty decent. You have USB-Cs right up over in there. Conventional stock, shifter right here. You have your drive mode right here that you can put it in E only. And here, one thing, you do have a power button in this car. And I kept leaving it on yesterday when I would start it up and go into the, let's say, Rite Aid or something like that. What do we have? A disclaimer here. All right. Apple CarPlay, which is very nice in terms of wireless. There is no wireless keypad, or I should say phone charger, in this particular car. So I had to go out and buy this cable yesterday at Rite Aid and spend, you know, 20 bucks because I forgot to bring one. Of course, I always forget that. But when you go home here, it's a nice large screen. You do have this power flow meter here that shows you your engine, your battery, and as you're driving the car, you can see where the energy is going to the wheels. This is a front-wheel drive car. And you'll notice right now that, I don't know if you can see this, but how much fuel I have left. I'm almost on empty. Look at that. And I still have 70 miles of projected range left in this car. So really quite good. You know, it definitely supports Bluetooth. Very conventional in terms of, you know, everything is very familiar with this car. The ADAS system is not great. It does have dynamic or adaptive cruise, but I found that it's not good. It's a little bit jumpy, and it doesn't really have any kind of, it has lane keep assist, but it does not have lane centering, which is a little bit of a disappointment. Let me clean off these seats here just a little bit and show you the cloth seats that we have here, which are quite nice. It's got some decent stitching. I really don't have any issue with the cloth seats that are in this car. This up here, center or whatever above my head, comes pretty far forward. It feels a little claustrophobic to me, especially with the very small roof that's there. All right, so you can fold down the rear seats in this car, but if you notice, it's pretty tapered as far as over here and on the other side over here. So just be a little careful of that. It's not as though it's straight through. You've got your wheel wells on either side, which occupy quite a lot, but it's a decent amount of trunk space. Oh, look at this up here. Looks like you can release the seats here to put the seats down. Let's see how that does. And oh yeah, so you can see how it's a relatively small opening just because of how it comes in on either side there. Not terrible, not great. Like I mentioned, the back seat's pretty big and a lot of room. Let me get in there though. Let me see what kind of headroom we've got. Hold on one second. There we go. Yeah, I'm sitting in the back seat and I'm hitting my head. That sloped roof line in the Accord is definitely not for 6'5" guys. I mean, I can really slouch forward, but I'm hitting my head. Decent amount of knee room though. It's not bad, but I definitely don't have the headroom. One thing it does have are 4 grab handles, so Kathy would like that. And yeah, it's got 3 seat belts back here. And let's see what this center armrest here goes down, and we've got a couple of cup holders there as well. So yeah, just you know, it's a basic Honda Accord, right? Again, here's the layout of the dash. Look at the sport pedals down there. Oh man, beautiful. But you know, decent sized screen in the center right there. And it's a, you know, it's a comfortable place to spend some time. Like I mentioned though earlier, it does have quite a bit of road noise. It's more tire, it's not wind noise. It's just okay in terms of the ride is a little bit firm, especially with these. I don't know if they changed the suspension on the Sport. I wouldn't go for the Sport unless you love the look. I would just get the base one, or maybe the luxury. I didn't drive the luxury one. The luxury one is quite a bit more money, and I think you can get a 2-liter engine, non-turbo, and that'll cost you about 4 or 5 miles to the gallon. I don't really see the need for that. So you can see that just sitting here, the battery had gotten depleted actually just by sitting in the parking lot here, and it got down to 1 bar, and the gas engine kicked on just to actually recharge the battery a little bit. Again, this is a very small battery, 1.8 kilowatt hours. Compare that to a Tesla Model S, which is 100 kilowatt hours. So it's a tiny, tiny little battery, or your typical plug-in hybrid car will have about a 17 or 18 kilowatt hour battery. All right, so I wanted to spend some time with a hybrid car, not a plug-in hybrid, but just a hybrid car to see what the difference is. Now, some of you may know that my daughter Katie, sorry Katie, just recently bought a Jeep Wrangler 4xe. I think it's a cool vehicle. It's got a maximum range of EV only of 21 miles though, so not great. But you know, look, if you can charge up the battery, you can, you know, do local errands with it as a pure EV, and there's a good use case for a plug-in hybrid, which we are going to talk about. But I guess the question is, why would anyone want to buy just a regular hybrid, whether it's an SUV or a car? And I think the answer is range and mileage. This car, this Honda Accord hybrid, you can't get a plug-in hybrid in this vehicle. It has about 600 miles of range, which is incredible. Now, I'm almost on empty and it's still showing 79 miles of range left. I just drove this car. I've had it for the weekend to spend some time with it. I day tripped it up to Vermont to see what it was like. It's comfortable. It's a Honda Accord. You know, my first car, well, maybe not my first car. One of my first cars when I was in college, freshman in college, was a 1978 Honda Accord. And I've spoken about that car on the channel before. And I have a lot of, I mean, Honda makes good products. Let's not joke about it. But, you know, so it's comfortable. I sit kind of low. You know, it's a very, there's no creaks or rattles. I mean, it's a good car. But this thing is getting, you ready for this? 48 miles per gallon on my trip up to Vermont and back. Yeah, so some of the things I do like about this Honda Accord, I love Apple CarPlay, and it's a wireless integration. What I don't like is the base model of which this car is, even though it's got a glass roof, which may have been an option. It has no wireless charging. And yesterday I forgot my cord for my power cord for my phone. And so I ended up having to go into CVS and spend, who knows, $22 for a stupid cord. Meanwhile, I got like 30 of them at home. But you would think that in this day and age, a car would have wireless charging. The upscale trims do have wireless charging. So the question really becomes, why buy a hybrid sedan or SUV? Why not go for a plug-in hybrid? And there are a lot of vehicles on the market today that have the ability to combine a gas engine with a battery, and sometimes a pretty large battery. And there are very few cars that will allow you to plug into a DC fast charger if it's a plug-in hybrid. There are only two cars to my knowledge that allow you to do that. One is the Polestar 1, which is a very special, high-end, unique piece. And then the other is the Mitsubishi Outlander, of all things. All the other plug-in hybrid cars that are on the market today, and we can talk about all those cars in a bit, they have range, EV only range, anywhere from, let's say, the high teens, low 20s, all the way up to perhaps 50, 52 miles of pure electric range, which when you start getting into above 50 miles of pure EV range, that's really good. Now, a lot of you will remember my Chevy Volt, which would show that it would have about 38 miles of EV range. Now, depending on how you drive that car, if you're really careful and you're on back roads and you're going up and down, you could far exceed 38 miles of range with that Chevy Volt. But, you know, like, I think the use case for the EV, or I'm sorry, for the use case for a hybrid car is that you do have a little bit of regenerative braking. Now, in my time with this Honda Accord, I don't feel anything like regen braking like you would get in an EV, like a Tesla or an Ioniq 5 or something like that. I don't really feel that much regen in this car, but it's definitely taking the energy from the motor, or I'm sorry, from regenerating energy back to the small battery in this car. And you do have a battery gauge. Now, the thing about this, there is an EV only button in this car, and when you push that, like right now, I'm in EV only mode, which is fine. But as soon as you start to accelerate ever so slightly, we'll keep it in EV mode. Here we are, where the gas engine is off. If I start to give it a little bit of throttle, there, it just kicked on. And then you hear the engine rev up. And so it's, to drive a hybrid car in pure EV is a bit of artwork and a bit of really being light on the throttle. And it's not great. The plug-in hybrid, though, however, you can lock out that gas engine and you can drive it full beans, depending on the models, and you won't kick on the gas engine. Now, one of the other things that'll happen, even if you put this car in EV mode, when the gas engine is cold, it'll kick on the gas engine and it'll start to run the engine to warm up the engine. So, you know, if you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to get a hybrid so I can be really super economical, you definitely will get better efficiency. There's no doubt about that. This car like I said, 48 miles to the gallon, huge range, incredibly good range. But if you really want to drive it on pure EV around town, I would suggest, if you're not quite ready for an EV, full-blown EV, then a plug-in hybrid may be the right way for you to go. All right, so let's take this Honda Accord hybrid out for a little drive. And we'll go around the town and maybe on the highway. I don't really have any mountain roads around here in New Canaan, although I do have some twisties, so we can take it on the twisties. Like I said earlier, I do notice quite a bit of road noise with the tires on this car. And even at a low speed, I hear the orchestral ethereal hum of the sound generator, which again, it's just stupid to me. I guess I understand, you know, they want to warn people because it's so quiet. You do absolutely hear the engine kick on. I would say the ELR that I had, Cadillac ELR, was quieter than this. The Volt was probably a little louder, and especially when it's really demanding energy, like if I was going up a hill yesterday on the highway. But you know, very easy to drive, good sight lines, good windows. The side view mirrors have excellent visibility out them. They're quite large, and conventional stalks, which is good. Thank you, sir. Beautiful. All right, let's let it rip here. There we go. And yeah, I mean, look, this is really a very conventional car, very similar to the Camry or the Hyundai Sonata. And then if you step up to some of the more, you know, like the 5 Series, 3 Series cars that are out there, BMWs or the Volvos, you know, you get into a different price point. But I mean, for basically 30 grand to get 48 miles to the gallon, it's good. You are burning dyno juice though. But yeah, and I think that the ride, I've been driving around in my Model 3, the new refresh, the 2024 rear wheel drive, and that car is definitely softer. I definitely feel like this is a firmer suspension, and it could be the tires. The sidewalls are 40 on here. I believe I have 45s, but I have 18-inch wheels on the Tesla. These are 19-inch wheels, and these are, I believe, 245s. But very smooth on takeoff. But again, you take off with electric, and then you hear the gas engine kick on. And it's like 2 or 3 second delay. If you really just tiptoe a little bit, very, very carefully, you can turn, let me just do it right here. Very so subtly on, I'm still in electric. I got a big hill here. Let's see what happens. There, kicks on. So there's really no way to drive this car in pure EV mode. There just isn't. I mean, even if you put it in EV only, EV mode not available. Reduce acceleration. Excuse me, I'm going up a hill. All right, so, you know, you get it. But look, you know, the brakes, they feel good. I mean, there's nothing fancy about this. This is a great, reliable piece of transportation. It's not small. You know, when we were in Europe, we got used to a lot of small cars. This would be a mid-size sedan, not huge, but you know, Camry size, not Avalon size. Some of the direct competitors to this Honda Accord hybrid, again, not plug-in hybrid, are definitely the Toyota Camry. It has similar range, anywhere between 600 and 650 miles of range. That's just huge. And it also will go up to 52 miles to the gallon. The base Honda Accord does come with a 1.5 liter turbo engine, and that'll get between 30 and 33 miles to the gallon. The hybrid, which costs about 3 grand more, I think the base Honda Accord, not in the sport trim, starts around 27,000, and you can get the base hybrid for only 3 grand more basically $30,000 is where it starts. You can jump up to the 2-liter engine, which will give you between 26 and 29 miles to the gallon in the base car, and a similar miles per gallon, call it 48 miles to the gallon, is basically what this car has had since inception, which has got about 12,000 miles on it. And it's what I experienced yesterday, around 48. So estimate about 15 miles to the gallon better mileage than you would in the gas counterpart. And that's definitely good for the environment, for sure. And you're not really taking any energy off the grid for that. If you're into gas cars, I don't really see the downside, especially when the gap between the price is so small. Now, the Toyota Camry will get up to 52 miles per gallon, and again, go 600 to 650 miles of range. The Hyundai Sonata Hybrid will get up to 52 miles per gallon, and that'll go approximately 600 miles of range as well. And believe it or not, the Toyota Avalon Hybrid, that'll get in the mid 40s. Now, I don't believe it'll have quite the kind of range, but you might still get 500 and 525 miles of range out of that car. Now, see, the gas engine just kicked on. Yeah, because I went down to 2 bars, and it's actually now taking energy from the engine to keep the battery replenished, because I have the AC running in the car right now. What I thought I would do is just mention some of the plug-in hybrid cars that are on the market today. The Honda Clarity is no longer available new. You can purchase them obviously in the used market. They're kind of not the best looking car. Sorry, my buddy Mark. But they are good cars, and those things got about 47 miles of range on pure EV, and get about 42 miles to the gallon after that. The BMW 530e, I know we're jumping up into a little bit higher price range, but that'll only give you around 21 miles of EV range compared to that Honda Clarity. The 530e is about 21 miles. The 330e will give you around 23 miles of range, and get anywhere between 28 and 32 miles per gallon after your EV range runs out. The big boy luxury sedan, the 745e, which is a plug-in hybrid, only has about 17 miles of range, and that'll get between 27 and 26 miles or 28 miles of per gallon after that. The Volvo S60, not the XC60, but the S60 sedan, that'll get around 41 miles of EV range only, and then 36 miles to the gallon. And then the Toyota Prius Prime, which is it's around 25 to 30 miles of EV range. But man, those things are really hot. You can get that as a gas engine, you can get that as a hybrid, or you can get that as a plug-in hybrid as well. And you get the full $7,500 federal tax credit on any of these cars that I'm talking about now. Again, reminder, it has to be over 7 kilowatt hours, the battery pack. That RAV4 is a pretty good vehicle. They're in high demand, and they'll get around 42 miles of EV only range, which is quite good. The X5 xDrive, about 40 miles of range. The XC90, which is the Volvo, that's the big one, about 36 miles of range. And the XC60 Recharge will get around 36 miles of range, similar to the XC90. So, it's, I guess really what it comes down to is, if you're not really ready to jump over to EV, the question I would say is why? If you're thinking that you want to have something that you can daily drive, and you have the ability to have a level 2 charger at your home, any of the EVs that are on the market, they're going to be fine for you. Even ones that have 200 miles of EV range. Perhaps look at buying a used EV, or maybe one of the newer cars that don't have quite the range. But you're not really going to have any problems. Now, when you start going on road trips, that's where these hybrids and plug-in hybrids start to give people the peace of mind, because as soon as you run out of EV range, you've got your gas engine to actually pick you up and take you the rest of the way. So there's a huge use case for that. But what I would say is that as more and more of the infrastructure comes online here in the United States especially, you know, the charging is going to become less and less of an issue. Right now, if you're driving a CCS car and it's not NACS approved yet, and for those of you who don't understand that NACS is really the Tesla standard, so today an F-150 Lightning or a Rivian R1T or R1S, if you have an adapter, you can charge your cars at a Tesla supercharger. And Tesla superchargers are really, they're almost everywhere, right? And they're very reliable. So that's a good thing. But if you, now here the gas engine just kicked on again. So just by sitting here, you know, if this were a pure EV, that wouldn't happen. I wouldn't be burning any gasoline. I would just be using the energy that's in the battery. But you know, I think that it's something to consider as a stepping stone. Maybe think of it as a hybrid, or especially a plug-in hybrid, as that gateway drug to a pure EV. The only thing I would say about the gateway drug concept is you do add a lot of complexity to a vehicle. It's like, remember when I was a kid, they had these watches that did everything. It would tell you the time, and it was a calculator. Now, of course, today we have the Apple, you know, the iWatch and all of that. But maybe that's not a good analogy anymore. But the point is, if you try and do too much, if you try and do two things, you know, are you really accomplishing anything by adding all this extra complexity? And the thing about electric vehicles that's a benefit is you don't have to do any oil changes. You know, there's far fewer moving parts. And with a plug-in hybrid especially, you've got so much more mechanical engineering that goes into the car. Down the road, from a longevity standpoint, you really got to ask yourself the question, do you want to be supporting two systems in a car, or are you better to just bifurcate your garage? And what I mean by that is maybe you keep one gas car and you take that on road trips if you have range anxiety, but you perhaps just go for a pure EV for your around town or your daily commute. And that way you've got sort of the best of both worlds. The question is, if you're only a single car family and you still have that range anxiety, that's why maybe a plug-in hybrid might make sense for you, or even just a regular hybrid. So, well, listen, hopefully this has made some sense, and maybe it's given you a little bit more context. I've enjoyed my time with this Honda Accord. I won't mind giving it back tomorrow morning after my commute. You know, it has some good features, blind spot assist, all the stuff. Backup camera is good. It's a little fisheye. I always say fisheye, but you know, you've got cross traffic alert in the rear. It's a Honda Accord. It's a very, very well made car. And the hybrid implementation, I guess, again, just coming back to the real reason why you'd buy it, it's only $3,000 more, and you're getting 48 miles to the gallon. You know what? I would definitely buy that over the gas equivalent. And then I play a game trying to just be really light on the throttle to see how much EV range I could get out of it before the gas engine kicks in. With a 1.8 kilowatt hour battery, I might go about 600 feet downhill, if you know what I mean. So anyway, thanks again for watching another episode of Out of Spec Dave. I hope this has helped you maybe in your buying decisions, or thinking about maybe what's the right move for you. As always, reach out if I can be of any help. Be happy to talk to you a little bit, but we'll say goodbye to the Honda Accord Hybrid. I've enjoyed my time, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.